all care about our brains, right? Supplementation for brain health is an emerging marketplace that has a lot of innovation in it. So we wanted to find what we thought was one of the most innovative companies in that area, Neurohacker. This interview is with Ben Cote from Neurohacker, and you're going to learn a lot about how you can supplement to improve your brain's function. Ben, thanks for being here with us. I'm really excited to hear your story. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Ben Cote. I'm the Director of Brand and Community at Neurohacker Collective. I kind of run the business side and social side of the business. So everything, I work with our team of scientists and researchers that create our amazing products, and I kind of help run the business side of things.
So how did you get started and how did that evolve?
Yeah, so I knew the CEO from some previous startups that we've done together. So I worked at some video technology startups previously and a couple others after that. And when he was starting this endeavor, he met up with the co-founders and called me out of the blue and pitched me on what he was working on. So I met with him. He kind of pitched me the idea of the bigger picture of what they're doing. And then I met with the other two co-founders and they both just blew me away, both on their level of integrity and then the really deep science that they were working on. So I kind of came on board after that, and then I tried the product and was equally blown away by that.
So this bigger picture that you bought into, what is this big picture for Neurohacker?
Yeah, so the big picture is healthy, happy people make better decisions. And we have a lot of challenges in this world, both personally and as a civilization that we need to solve. And we need people operating at their best to be able to solve those problems. So we want to create a new system of well-being beyond just the kind of sick care version of healthcare that we run today. Mm-hmm. We want people operating, feeling, performing at their best so they can have the sovereignty and take responsibility for their choices in life and make the big decisions that we need them to take, both in their personal life, ultimately, then collectively at the civilization level, so we can build the systems we need that can move us forward.
So in the big picture, tell us how you're implementing this big vision.
Yeah, so the science, or like the big picture behind the products we create, is based on like complex system science. So trying to understand the entire system, not just affecting a single part of it. So some of the problems with current pharmaceuticals or current other approaches is they just tackle one specific part of one specific system, or they're just treating a symptom. So in doing so, they affect one part without any regard for the other systems in the regulatory process, both up and downstream. And this is where you run into all the downregulation and all the side effects you hear about on the fun commercials for these things. So our approach is to look at how the entire system functions, understand that it's regulated well before you were sick or before you were unhealthy. And we want to get you back to that state, and not just back to that state of regulating well, but to a state where you're regulating better at a higher capacity. So looking at the entire system, working through the entire regulatory process at multiple stages through those systems, and then upregulating your system so you can operate at a higher capacity with more resilience.
When you're saying regulatory systems, you're not talking about regulators or the FDA.
No, we're talking about the human system. So we believe the body knows how to self-regulate, and we want to support that system and how it does it. So we're not trying to hijack or override it with a very small number of ingredients or very high doses of single chemicals. We want to support the system and how it naturally regulated back either when you were younger and get you back to that state, and then ultimately elevate that homeostatic baseline so you're operating at a higher capacity with more resilience.
I'm only familiar with Qualia, so can you tell me about your first entry into...
Yeah, so Qualia was my first entry into trying the products at Neurohacker. So I heard about the vision, loved what they were doing, came to work, and then they handed me a bottle and said, here, try this. And I was familiar with nootropics. I'd heard about them before. I'd never tried them, but I was very interested. So popped the capsules, try it, and then 10 minutes later, I was like, eyes are big and bright, and I was like, wow, they got something here. That was my first experience. It was truly amazing. So the original stack formulation is the one I tried right away and just instantly fell in love with it. The biggest thing that I got from it right away was it works the first time you take it. Mm-hmm. So it's remarkable. You don't have to take it for days or weeks to start feeling it. You're feeling the focus, the energy, the drive immediately. The thing I love is I get home from work after a super busy day and I'm not mentally worn out. I don't have to crash on the couch and just wipe out for a few minutes. I can be emotionally and mentally present with my family and my children, and I can still have energy to work on the things I want to work on. So that was just amazing week one. The thing I really loved about it in that first month was the thing I found most beneficial is it wipes out that feeling of overwhelm when you have too much stuff to do and you don't know how or where to get started on any one thing. So working as a startup, which I love to do, there's never an ending list of tasks. It's always growing, but sometimes when you have like your to-do list is just forever long, it's hard to get beyond that list and get started on any of those tasks. Mm-hmm. It's just so overwhelming. that feeling I could feel just melt away when I take this product. And I can then can pick up on a task, have all the energy and focus and drive in the world to pick up on it, complete it, put it down, and move on to the next task without any hesitation in between. So that was like a big game changer for me. The other really cool thing about the product that I found was it gets better the longer you use it. So month 3, I started to notice some new effects show up that weren't as strong in month 1. And for me, that was the emotional resiliency piece. And this is the piece that women tell us they most love about qualia. For me, this showed up as things that would normally annoy me, distract me, piss me off, and take me out of my work, now would show up and just roll off my back. And I could stay focused on the work that I wanted to stay focused on. So that was also remarkable. The other thing that happened around month 3 or 4 for me was I didn't need to take as much of it to get the same benefit. So the longer you take it, the better it gets, and the longer you take it, the less you need of it. So around that 3.5 month mark, I started lowering my dose and titrating down until I hit about 8 or 9 months and then stopped completely. And now I take like 1 capsule, maybe once or twice a week if I take any at all.
You used the word nootropics, which most people won't be familiar with. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so nootropics are just the chemicals or ingredients that can upgrade or improve cognitive performance and function. So memory, focus, energy, clarity, visual acuity, all the things of cognitive function that make you who you are and make the decisions you make. So those kind of chemicals and ingredients that can help help support the regulatory processes that make those performance upgrades.
And this is a new and growing and popular area. So tell me about the research and the evolution of this product.
Yeah, so this is definitely a growing field. And one of the reasons it's growing is our cognitive demands for what we're doing today for work are much higher than they used to be. Even in the last just 5 to 10 years, we weren't all carrying around smartphones and managing apps and all the gadgets and devices and all the things in life that also make life easier, give us additional tasks and resources we have to manage and things like that. Our jobs today compared to 50 years ago, 100 years ago when we were farmers versus a few hundred years ago when hunter-gatherers, we weren't tasked to be cognitively performing at the level that we are today for 8, 10, 12 hours a day of being just focused on a certain thing. So these demands on our brains, on our systems, on our whole bodies just weren't there, several years ago. So people are looking for something to help get them through this. Previously, it's been caffeine. Like that was a big game changer for a lot of the world. So switching from alcohol to caffeine back in like the Renaissance time, people were starting to have these chemicals and using them. But people are looking for something more now, and that was kind of one of the reasons we started with nootropics and started with our qualia formulation as our first product. We saw a great need for people taking off-label medication or seeking Adderall or things like that to get through work. A lot of these medications can work, but they come with dangerous side effects. They can cause downregulation where you become dependent on them and have to use them more and more, and while they're also cutting off part of your system. So one of the downsides of Adderall is it kind of desensitizes you towards empathy and things like that. So we have this level of high-performing elite top performers at colleges and banks and hedge funds and things like that are all becoming very high performers, but losing their empathy and losing their humanity in doing so, and having the people at the top of the food chain or at the top of business operating in this way is not great for our humanity or our civilization. So we knew there was a better solution out there that could be done that could better support what people are looking for and give their systems and bodies what they need to give them that edge and give them the tools that they need to support and perform at that level without causing those harmful side effects.
So one of the things that caught my eye looking at the list of nutrients in your product is how many there are. And one of the things that we've sort of seen in our exploration is that many times people will talk about proprietary blends on their label where they have a bunch of stuff there, but they don't list each one individually and how much is there. In your case, It's a long list, each one independently put there with the amount of that particular ingredient that's there, et cetera. So this is not a simple formula. Tell me about this formulation.
Absolutely, yeah. So we don't believe in proprietary formulas. We want you to know exactly what you're putting in your body and exactly how much. So all of our products will tell you exactly that on the label. We tell you what ingredient we use, what form of that ingredient, exactly how much is in each dose. So when we started the R&D process on qualia, we searched out and did a huge meta-analysis of all the research on all the ingredients that we wanted to possibly use. Then we started with a database of over 500. And we did an exhaustive amount of meta-analysis on all the neuroscience, all the research done on those ingredients, got that whittled down to about 120 that we thought could be generally safe for the general population that most people could get a good use out of. and then further whittled that down to our original stack had, I think, 42 ingredients. So there's a lot of R&D in there, there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of iterations done on that to figure out which ingredients we could use, and then also which ingredients pair well with each other. So it's not just the ingredients in isolation, but it's really the ingredients and how they synergistically support one another. So some are there strictly to enhance the other ones, bioavailability of the other ingredients. Some are there to help processes get through certain pathways quicker or slower, depending on which parts of those pathways we want to affect at which parts, at which time. So there's a very specific methodology behind the process by which we do that. And the head of our research and development team is a guy named Daniel Schmachtenberger, and he has a basis and background in complex system science, and he was really the forefront in developing that. We now have a whole team of researchers and neuroscience and doctors and things like that work under him and work with him. But he was kind of the brains behind the original formulation design. So, and the reason we have so many ingredients, especially compared to like other nootropic stacks. So you may see other nootropics that have between like 2 and 10 ingredients or 2 and 12 ingredients. And some, you may recognize some of the same names, but the form of the ingredients we use is usually very different than everything else in the market. And the number of ingredients we use is vastly higher than anything else. And we do that because we didn't want to limit ourselves to affect just a very few states, because you are not just your memory, you are not just your focus, you are not just, the energy that you produce. What makes you you is all those things in concert. So we didn't want to just limit ourselves to one or very few specific aspects of what makes you you and what makes your cognitive performance perform. It's really all those things in concert, and we want to balance those out, because there's no point in having a ton of energy if you don't have the focus to drive it. And there's no point in having the focus if you don't have the determination, or all those kind of things in concert with one another that need to be working together to perform at your best.
So this is a sort of unique philosophy that you guys are bringing to the supplement industry. How's this going?
Yeah, it is. And rightly so, there's a lot of skepticism in the supplement market space, just because there's a lot of products out there that just either aren't good or don't work. And we knew there was so much more that was possible and could be possible, both with the right design and the right quality and quantity of ingredients. So this is where the product delivers and where it works, where others don't, and where we're really kind of trying to shine. So there's a ton of good research, there's a ton of good ingredients that just either aren't getting highlighted or used effectively in the right design. And we wanted to prove that there could be a lot done in this space. There's still more research that can be done and will be done, and we're doing a lot of that deep research to kind of bring some of these really great products in this market.
So when you're selecting ingredients, you have choices to make. For example, on B6, you have really high quality, expensive forms of B6, and you have also less expensive, lower quality versions. And the consumer, when they're looking at the label, is just seeing B6 there. So when you're selecting what you're putting into your own formulations, how do you address that with the consumer?
Yeah, that's one of the challenges for consumers. When you look at vitamins, they all say the same names or they all say the same terms. Unless you really read the labels carefully, you may not notice that one's in a different form of the other. So we always strive to use the most bioavailable active form that your body needs at that time. So a lot of the ingredients that you'll see need to get broken down into your system, into the form that they'll actually get used in. And then through that process, a lot of it gets wasted and you just don't feel a lot of it working. So one of the reasons our product you feel working immediately the first time you take it, within the first hour, usually in the first 20, 30 minutes, is because of that high quality, high bioavailable form of that ingredient. This ends up being very expensive, which is why our product is very expensive, but it is also why it works, where if you've taken multivitamins for years or supplements for years and felt nothing from them, this is usually why.
So then how do you communicate and how do you pass that win onto the consumer?
Yeah, that's one of the challenges. So, and we're trying to both not create just great products, but also some really great education around the science and research that we're doing. So on our website, we have a lot of very deep white papers on the design and how we built our formulation, why we chose the ingredients the way we did, why we chose them for the synergistic effects between one another, and then what those are doing across the pathways and things like that. So we can kind of educate consumers. But it's hard. Like as a consumer myself, I've taken vitamins for years, previously in my life and felt nothing and had yellow pee, and that was kind of where it ended up. So only until recently, where I had started seeing a naturopathic doctor and they recommended very specific types of supplements for me after doing some labs and blood work and things like that for what my body needed, did I actually start to feel like real supplements make a real difference. And those are very expensive, and this is kind of where it comes out into the product too. So it's part delivering on the promise of what we want our products to do, and part just educating the consumer. So the good news is there's a lot of information out there. The bad news is there's a lot of information out there. So trying to make sense of it for consumers can be tricky, but we're trying to educate consumers on that level research and science, both on so they can learn about the things, and then also when they consume them, they can actually feel the difference.
So what I'm seeing is that you're a philosophy-driven company and you're really executing on the vision of that philosophy. And we've seen this first product, but can you tell me about what's coming next?
Yeah, so we're about to launch our next product next month. So we're branching out of the cognitive space into cellular health and longevity. So our next product is called Eternus. It's designed for cellular health and mitochondrial function, ATP support. So providing energy to all the cells of your body. You have over 1 trillion cells. They're all doing functions every single day, every single minute. They use ATP and energy to do that. As you get older, those cells start to break down and the energy production becomes less. So we want to support all those regulatory pathways, the AMPK, the nerve pathways, things like that, to where supply the energy that all your cells need so they can do those functions that they need to do. So not just allowing you to live longer, but allowing you to have more health in those years. So you're able to be vibrant and have all that energy to do the things you want to do as you're growing older.
Tell me the basis of that product and how that's going to help with mitochondria.
Sure. So there's several different pathways that's working across. So NAD is part of the picture. It's not the whole picture. So just supplying a high dose of NAD when you're low on NAD doesn't get through the regulatory system and it breaks down. You don't get the benefits of that. There's a relationship between NAD and ATP, and there's a relationship between the cell health and the mitochondrial function of those cells. So as they get damaged, as they get aged, as they break down, there's a whole relationship through those AMPK pathways, the nerve pathways, the sirtuins. It's all those things in concert, and the different parts of those pathways that get recycled that we want to capture. So simply providing a high dose of a single ingredient is not how we build our products and not how we operate. So other products in this space either have a single or a couple ingredients that are just focused on doing that. Our new product coming out has upwards of 40 ingredients. So again, a very high number of ingredients designed to support all the different pathways across those things and throughout the different parts of those pathways. So there's a part where you can supply a chemical or an ingredient to help, and then there's a part where that chemical or ingredient gets broken down and then recycled. We want to recapture that recycle so we're not losing it and getting it through all those things to give your whole body the energy that it needs. So this is our next product coming out. After that, we're going to get into a whole sleep line of products. After that, we have pain and anxiety on the roadmap. We have 100 different products on our roadmap. Whenever we're going to design a product, we only do it if we believe we can be at least 10 times better than anything else in the market, or if just nothing in the market exists that's serving that. So we're not going to create something if we believe the best product already out there exists. That's part of the name collective. That way, why we have the collective in our name is if someone else is doing great science and great research and already has a phenomenal product out there, we'd rather promote that product and move our energy and resources into something else. We're very excited about the future roadmap of the products we're developing. We have a huge lineup of things we've been wanting to work on and requests that our community has sent to us. We're very excited to get into those. I'm very excited for our new Eternus product to come out. I didn't think I would like a new product more than Qualia. And then I tried Eternus and had renewed faith in our development team because it's pretty phenomenal. It's not designed to be as subjective as Qualia. So one of the nice things about Qualia is you feel it each and every single time you take it. This one's more geared towards longevity, but about 30 to 40% of our participants in our early trials and things like that actually felt it, and I was one of those. So this product is actually really great. My body just feels more energy, a little younger, a little just more vibrant. So I'm very excited for that product to come out, and then I'm very excited for us to get to our next products, both on sleep and pain and anxiety, and anything we can do that helps upregulate the homeostatic baseline to get people healthier, happier, into more well-being is really what we're excited about and interested in.
Ben, thanks a ton for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I care about my brain a lot, and I am sure you do too. So I was really happy to share this interview with you and hope that you have a better brain as a result.